All right, so when you picture a classical composer, what comes to mind? Probably some serious-looking dude in a powdered wig, right? Kind of boring. But what if I told you there was a composer who was more like a rock star? A guy whose new music drops were so shocking, they basically went viral, but like in 1913. We're talking about a musical rebel who didn't just play the game, he completely rewrote the rules.
And I'm not kidding, a literal full-on riot. This composer was Igor Stravinsky, and when his ballet, The Rite of Spring, premiered in Paris, the music was so wild, so intense, with these heavy, pounding rhythms nobody had ever heard before. The audience completely lost it. They started screaming, throwing stuff, and actually fighting each other in the aisles. It was the 1913 version of breaking the internet.
You see, Stravinsky's early career was just a total whirlwind. He moves to Paris, which was the center of the art world, and he hooks up with this legendary ballet company. First, he drops The Firebird, bam, huge hit. Then comes Petrushka, another total game changer. And then he unleashes the chaos of The Rite of Spring. In just a couple of years, he went from being the new kid in town to music's most notorious bad boy.
So here's where it gets really interesting. When you're the rebel who just blew everyone's mind and broke every rule in the book, what do you do next? Where do you even go from there? Well, Stravinsky didn't just try to start another riot. No, he did something way smarter. He invented a whole new game to play.
Now, to get what he did, you gotta understand the music he was pushing back against. The style before him was called Romanticism, and it was like a massive blockbuster movie, super emotional, huge orchestras. Think of it like a 100-player raid party in a video game, just total epic chaos. Stravinsky was like, nah, I'm done with that. He decided to go the other way, with a smaller, more strategic squad, something clear, balanced, and really, really clever. He wasn't making another blockbuster, he was creating a remix.
And this new style he invented, it has a name, Neoclassicism. See, neo means new, and classicism is all about the old masters, guys like Bach and Mozart. So yeah, he was basically the original remix king. He'd take these old school structures and beats from like 200 years earlier, and he'd mash them up with his own totally modern, surprising harmonies and these sharp, punchy rhythms.
So how'd he do it? It wasn't just random messing around. The guy had a system. You can almost think of it like a formula, or a set of rules for how to build your very own fire neoclassical track. Let's break it down.
Okay, step 1, find a classic form. You start with an old school structure, maybe something from Mozart. Step 2, keep it clean. No big dramatic over-the-top feelings. It's all about balance and control. Step 3, use a small crew. A smaller group of instruments, so every single sound is crisp and sharp. And finally, the secret sauce, step 4, add that modern spice. Those weird, unexpected harmonies and rhythms that just scream Stravinsky.
All right, theory is one thing, but let's actually see how this whole remix formula sounds in action. We're going to check out 3 key pieces from his neoclassical phase. Think of it as his greatest hits playlist.
First up on the playlist, we've got Pulcinella from 1920. This is pretty much the moment where the rebel puts down his old playbook and starts writing a new one. It's one of his very first full-on neoclassical pieces, and it really set the stage for everything that followed.
So for Pulcinella, Stravinsky literally finds music from an old Italian composer named Pergolesi and just goes wild with it. He keeps these fun, catchy melodies, but injects them with his own modern, spiky rhythms and harmonies. The result is something that sounds both ancient and brand new at the same time. It's light, it's funny, and it's super clever. This piece is the perfect example of his remix philosophy in action.
Okay, let's move on to the next track. A few years later, he writes the octet for wind instruments. And this piece is all about that small crew rule we talked about. It is the absolute definition of a precision squad. I mean, just look at this lineup. Only 8 instruments. You've got a flute, a clarinet, a couple bassoons, 2 trumpets, and 2 trombones. That's it. With a group this small, there is literally nowhere to hide. Every single note has to be perfect. And that's exactly what he wanted. Absolute clarity. He even uses old-school techniques like fugues, but he always gives them his own modern, unexpected twist just to keep you guessing. All right, for our last track, Stravinsky goes big, like endgame level epic. But, and this is the key part, he still sticks to his own rules. The piece is called Symphony of Psalms, and it's this massive work for a full orchestra and a choir. It's like a huge crossover event.
So you've got this giant group of performers singing texts from the Bible. You'd expect this huge, emotional, epic blockbuster of a piece, right? Wrong. That's the Stravinsky twist. Even on this giant scale, the music is controlled, it's disciplined, and it's totally focused on structure. He proved that you can make something sound powerful and grand without being all dramatic and gushy. It's all about that cool, calm, neoclassical control. Okay, so riots, remixes, all these rules. After all that, why should any of us care about this neoclassical stuff today? What was the actual point of this whole experiment?
Well, Stravinsky's whole remixing phase was a total game changer. He basically showed an entire generation of composers that you didn't have to choose. You didn't have to just copy the past, and you didn't have to be some wild experimentalist with no rules. You could do both. He created this awesome new middle path. He literally made structure, balance, and clarity cool again in music.
So the real takeaway here is this. Stravinsky started out as the ultimate rebel, the guy who made people fight in a theater. But he became something so much more important. He became a master builder who took the old rulebook, remixed it, and created a brand new sound that helped define the 20th century. He proved that being a true innovator isn't just about breaking stuff, it's about building something new and brilliant from the pieces.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Stravinsky remixed the 18th century to create the sound of his time. So if you could grab anything from the past, a song, a book, a historical event, and give it your own modern spin, what would you choose? What would your remix be?